Hey guys, what's going on? And today we're going to be continuing What If Shane killed Rick in The Walking Dead. So let's get into it. We start off by seeing Joe, who's seeing all of his members die, and he's starting to get worried for his life, and he was begging for mercy from the group, but now he just wants to leave them behind, his group, because if it means the survival of Joe, he'll do it. And he doesn't care if his group die anymore. He just wants to live. He knows that there's more fools out there that he can find to follow his lead and protect him. And Joe looks at Len's body and he'd sigh, of course, he's also dead. But then behind Joe is Daryl, and he punches Joe in the face. He begs for Daryl not to kill him, as he doesn't want to die. But then from behind, one of the claimers, Harley, shoots Daryl in the leg, and then he knocks him out. And the other remaining claimer, Dan, also comes, and all three of them start running while they drag Daryl with them, so they can forge up a deal with them if they come looking for Daryl. Merle starts yelling at the group as his brother has just gone missing because they are too scared to stand up and fight against those claimers or whatever their name is. And Merle yells at them that they need to man up and be better. And he tells the group that you're all weak. You can't fight a group of 7 people probably. And look how many of us there are. How many? I don't even know. That's how many of us there are. You're scared to fight 7 damn people. And Lori tells Merle it's going to be all right, as they will go looking for him. And she tells the group that, isn't that right? We will. And Glenn tells the group that he knows where they could possibly be headed. And Glenn would pull out a map, and he shows the group where they could possibly be headed, as they seem like they've been through some stuff, and he shows them the places in the woods where they can have a hideout. And he shows the group this place called Terminus, or Sanctuary, on the map, that he's heard is a community which people can live in if we possibly just sneak in, act as residents, or even ask to be residents. We can get in there, save Daryl, and kill them. Just make them seem like they disappeared, and we got ourselves a new home. And we'd see Joe, Harley, and Dan just walking in the woods while they're carrying Daryl to their base. But then they get interrupted by 3 people, and they tell the claimers to put down the man and tell us what you're doing with him. Joe talks to them in a friendly way, telling them that, oh, this is just one of our guys. He got injured, and we're just getting him back to our base. You can even ask him after he's awake, of course. And the people, they tell them if they want to live, they better tell them what they're doing with that man, or they will shoot. And Harley, Joe, and Dan, they're starting to get worried, so they just tell them that we found this guy on the road. He was injured and beaten, basically. We thought we could help. And the guy, Abraham, says, you sure about that? He asks his friend Eugene if that seems legit to him, and Eugene just nods his head, no. And for his other friend Rosita, she just nods her head no with her gun. And now Abraham has a signal on what they're gonna do. And Daryl ends up waking up, and then he'd say, where the hell am I? But then from out of nowhere, Merle comes, and he points his gun at both groups, as he doesn't know if they're with the claimers. And Abraham just tells Merle, we're just trying to help out your friend here. And they're wondering even if that's your friend. He's my brother. And Merle tells them that these people right here carrying his brother, they killed many of their people. They attacked them to get supplies, but now they're the ones running away from them. And Glenn went with Merle, but he just now catched up as Merle was just running to find his brother. And Glenn finally catches up to Merle. And with everyone distracted, Daryl has enough time to grab his crossbow from Joe's bag, and he points it straight at Joe's head. And all three of them, Harley, Joe, and Dan, all are starting to realize they have just walked into the footsteps of death. They know there's no getting out of here now. But then when the rest of the group show up, Dan grabs Carl hostage and he puts a knife to his throat. He tells the group that if they don't let him go, he will stab this boy. And Lori points her gun at Dan, telling him that if he doesn't let her son go right now, she'll see what she is. And when her daughter, baby Judith, starts crying, and Dan gets distracted by this and he looks at baby Judith, and then Dan gets grabbed by Shane, and Shane beats the crap out of Dan. And Shane would start shooting Dan in the legs. And Shane pulls out a shotgun and he blows off Dan's hand with it. And Shane yells at Dan to get up and fight him like a man. And he says, "Is that all you got, princess? Get up, fight him." And Shane grabs Dan's throat and he starts slamming his head on the ground over and over. Shane shoots Dan again. And this time it's in the elbow. And Shane yells at Dan, "Are you ever going to do that again? Are you going to try to hurt anybody in this group?" And Dan would stutter, "No, I'll never do it again." And Dan's eyes would slowly start closing and his heartbeat starts slowing down. And Shane tells Dan, "You know what? Screw this." And Shane gets out his shotgun and he shoots Dan in the head, killing him. And Harley raises his gun at Shane, but he immediately just shoots Harley in the head, killing him. And the only one left standing is Joe. And he tells the group, "Look, man, this was all just a big misunderstanding, and he'll leave right now. So there's no more blood loss on either sides, right? No more fighting. Like, we don't need this. Everybody, don't y'all agree?" And then the governor says, "Screw that," and shoots his leg, which makes Joe kneel. And then Merle comes in and shoots Joe in the head, killing him. And then Merle looks at his brother, and so does Daryl. And Merle and Daryl would hug each other for the first time in a long time, as Daryl finally knows that Merle cares about him. And we see Lori thanking Shane for saving her son. And Shane tries explaining that he is truly sorry for what a monster he is. And he is trying to be better. For everyone and for Carl. And especially for you and Maggie. There is no redeeming what I've done, but I need to try. And Shane turns around and looks at Carl and gives him a gun. And that isn't just any gun. It's the python he took from Rick the day he killed him. And Shane hasn't had the chance to give Carl the Colt python back. And Shane starts training Carl better on how to use a gun and how to defend himself. And he starts adding a little humor to the talk also, as he knows Carl's a kid and he can't just be talking about killing and shooting all the time while he's training him. And Carl shows Lori some tricks that Shane taught him with the gun, of course. And Carl and Shane would start bonding again, as they'd start talking a lot. And Shane would basically do anything that Carl asks for him to do for a while, as they're just traveling. But anyways, guys, that'll be it for today, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye-bye.